Welcome to The Explainer. Look, if you're trying to level up your career in IT, you've definitely come across the RHCE. So today, we're going to break down exactly what it takes to get this top-tier certification for IT automation.
So here's what we're going to cover. First, we'll talk about the big automation challenge that everyone's facing. Then, we'll get into what the RHCE actually is today. After that, we'll lay out the roadmap to get certified, dig into the Ansible toolkit you've got to master, set some realistic timelines, and then at the end, we'll help you figure out if this is the right move for you.
All right, let's just dive right in. And to do that, we need to start with the big, fundamental problem that, honestly, every single person in IT is dealing with right now.
Now, really, just think about it for a second. Manually setting up one server, that's a piece of cake. But what happens when you need to push out a critical security patch or a new web server config to, 10 servers? 100? 1,000? It becomes an absolute nightmare, and it happens fast. That, right there, is the problem of scale. And automation? It's the only answer.
And that, of course, brings us right to the solution we're talking about today. The modern Red Hat Certified Engineer Certification. You know it as the RHCE.
So what is it, really? At its heart, the RHCE is the piece of paper that proves you can solve that massive scaling problem we were just talking about. It's the thing that tells the world, hey, this person knows how to automate tasks on Red Hat Enterprise Linux using the absolute powerhouse that is Ansible.
You know, what's really interesting is that the certification itself has totally changed. It used to be this kind of general senior-level Linux admin cert, but today, it's got a laser focus on one thing and one thing only: mastering large-scale automation with Ansible. It's all built on top of those core admin skills, but the focus is pure automation. All right, let's look at the exam vitals. It's codenamed EX294. Now, there are two huge things to take away from this. First, you absolutely must have an active RHCSA certification just to sit for the exam. And second, this is a 4-hour, 100% hands-on, performance-based test. We're not talking multiple choice here. It's just you, a command line, and a live system.
And that whole hands-on thing, that's exactly why employers value the RHCE so much. This isn't a test of what you can memorize from a book. It is a prove-it certification, through and through. You have to demonstrate that you can actually do the work in a real environment, with the clock ticking.
Okay, so now that we know what it is, let's talk about the actual roadmap. How do you get there? The journey is broken down into some really clear, achievable steps.
The path is actually pretty straightforward. Step 1, you've got to get your RHCSA. That is non-negotiable, no exceptions. Step 2 is to really dig in and master the official exam objectives for the X294. But step 3, now this is the big one. This is where you spend hundreds of hours getting your hands dirty in a real lab environment. Only after that should you think about registering for and passing the exam. And of course, you'll need to recertify every 3 years to keep it active.
So, what skills do you actually need to pass this thing? What's in your toolkit? Let's break down the core areas you're going to have to master.
All right, first up, Ansible fundamentals. You've got to have a rock-solid understanding of the basic building blocks and how they all click together. So that means really knowing the difference between a control node, that's your main machine where you run Ansible from, and the managed nodes, the servers you're actually configuring. You'll need to master inventories, which is just how you tell Ansible what servers to work on. You'll have to get comfortable with the building blocks like modules, tasks, and plays, and you'll also need to know when it's best to just fire off a quick, one-liner ad hoc command to get a simple job done.
Okay, next up, and this is really the heart and soul of the exam, writing and running effective Ansible playbooks. Honestly, this is where you're going to spend the vast majority of your study time.
To succeed here, you need your YAML syntax to be flawless. A single misplaced space can bring your whole playbook crashing down. You'll need to be an expert at using variables and something called Ansible facts to make your automation flexible and reusable. And you'll have to expertly control how your tasks run, using loops for repetitive stuff and conditionals to make sure tasks only run when they're supposed to.
And then once you've got the basics down, you've got to move on to the more advanced concepts. This is where you show you can handle those complex, real-world automation problems.
So we're talking about things like using Ginger 2 templates to create custom config files on the fly. You'll have to know how to secure your secrets, passwords and API keys using Ansible Vault. And this is a huge one. You have to be able to organize your code into reusable roles. That's what shows you can build automation that is actually scalable and easy to maintain.
All right, so the big question everyone always asks, how long is this going to take me? And the honest answer is, well, it really depends on where you're starting from. Let's break it down. If you're an experienced Linux admin and you already have your RHCSA, you could be ready in as little as 2 to 4 months. Now, if you're a fresh RHCSA without a ton of real-world experience, you're probably looking at something more like 5 to 9 months. And if you're a complete beginner starting from zero, well, it's a two-part journey, RHCSA, then RHCE, so that could take you anywhere from 1 to 2 years.
But here's the most crucial point about that timeline. It's all about how you spend that time. Because this is a hands-on exam, your study schedule has got to be totally dominated by practical lab work. I'm talking like an 80-20 split. 20% of your time can be reading books or watching videos, but that other 80%, that needs to be you in a lab, writing playbooks, breaking things, and then figuring out how to fix them. There's just no substitute for it.
Okay, so we've covered the what, the how, and the how long. That brings us to the final, and maybe the most important question of all. Is this path, is it actually for you?
So why does this matter so much? It's simple. The RHCE proves you can do the job. It's not about what you know, it's about what you can do. It validates your real-world, hands-on skills with a tool that is the industry standard. And that expertise? That's what gets your foot in the door for the best DevOps and cloud engineering roles that are out there right now.
Look, at the end of the day, this certification isn't just a piece of paper you hang on the wall. It's a brand new skill set. It's really a whole new way of thinking about problems. It gives you the power to build, to manage, and to scale the future of IT infrastructure. So the only real question left to ask is, what are you going to automate first?